Hello my friends, welcome to my YouTube channel where I make Photoshop fun and easy to learn. Yes, easy to learn. In this video, I'm going to be walking through the process of creating a cloth flyer like this inside of Photoshop. If you've not subscribed to my channel, now is the best time to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the posts that I'll be dropping anytime from now. Without having to say much, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on File and click on New like this. So I'm just going to set my size 4x5. And this is going to be club flyer like this. And resolution 300 inches, please. And everything else stays the same. And click on Create like this. So you're greeted with the interface. The first thing you want to do is click on Adjustment Layer, click on Solid Color. And I'm just going to copy the color code. This is the color code that I use for the background. Minimize this and paste this here and click OK. Now when you're done with this, take your rectangle tool, draw a rectangle like this. So basically we're going to have more than one rectangle, so just duplicate this. Right, Ctrl J, but first let's change the color. So this is the color for the rectangle. Copy this, double click on the thumbnail and paste this here, click OK like this. So drag this down like this, Ctrl J, bring this down also like this, then add extra one like this, so you have 4 things here. Select all of them and you want to merge it, so click on Ctrl E or Command E to merge all of them together. Or before then, Ctrl T and hold down Shift. Make sure you're holding down Shift because we need to expand this. So we're basically going to do this from the bottom. All right, so instead of creating extra, we're just going to expand this from the bottom. So like I said, make sure you're holding down Shift and stretch this down like this, right? So make sure you're not doing too much. Somewhere around here is good. So you can now merge it, Ctrl E or Command E. So yeah, so you can select all of them and give them color all at once. So that's the main reason why you merge this, in case you're asking. All right, so you have them as one vector altogether. So make a duplicate copy of this and go over to filter. But first I'm going to change the blend mode to screen. Then go to filter, go to blur and Gaussian blur. Convert to smart object like this. And yeah, somewhere here, click OK. Ctrl J to duplicate this. Double click on the Gaussian blur since you have this already, so you don't need to apply afresh. So from the existing one, what you need to do with this is increase the radius like this, right? And click OK. And then you have your light effect. Add extra one just to make it pop more like this. But make sure you don't go beyond this. Click OK. And we're good to go. We have our light system. I'm going to leave it here. We have our light system. If you notice the light I have here, I'm using this radius so that the light doesn't get beyond the half portion of the page, right? So just leave yours that way. So the next thing I'm going to do is bring in the subject, of course, subject, right? So you might want to make it smaller, right? Just make sure she covers a good amount of the canvas, right? So I'm just going to have this here. And of course, I'm going to mask this. Click on the mask and select my brush. I'm using the soft brush, please. And my flow, I'm going to set to 100. Make my brush bigger. And I'm just going to clean off these areas. Now, make sure you are not doing too much. When I mean doing too much, you can see that these areas are it's showing the lines behind. We don't want that. So we want something like this. Right, something like this is good. So you have our model for now. Let's leave this like this. We'll get back to this later on. So the next thing we need to do is, okay, I'm just going to convert this back to smart objects and bring this down here. I made a duplicate copy of it, right? A duplicate copy of this, and I'm going to make this one big. That's the duplicate copy, right? And click enter. I'm going to change the blend mode to overlay, right? And I'm going to reduce the opacity like this to have this nice mirrored effect at the back like this. So I'm just going to conceal this part here using my brush. Make sure your foreground color is set to black, and I'm just going to conceal these areas like this, like this, and you're good to go. I'm also going to add blur to this. So select the image, click on Gaussian blur, make sure it's not too much. This is too much. I think somewhere around here is good. Yeah, so click OK like this. And I want to make this a little bit bigger. It can be bigger than this. Actually, just make sure it's not covering the whole document, right? So I'm just going to go over to my text, bring in my text. The font I use here is Sage, right? So you can get fonts like this inside of the Smart Designer Premium assets. So please, the font I use is Sage, or you can download them online, right? Or make things easy for you, get the Smart Designer Premium assets. So I'm just going to duplicate this. This is going to be vibes and grind. So without the S in the grinds. So I'm just going to reduce the spacing between the two of them and move this upward like this. Make sure it's centered in the middle like this. The next thing I'm going to do is supposed to be vibes and grind. So let's draw a rectangle here that's going to house the and. Draw a rectangle first and drag this inside to create rounded corners for the rectangle. Next thing I'm going to do is change the color of the rectangle. So how do you do that? Very simple. Double click on the thumbnail. When the picker comes up, select this color, click OK like this. Easy peasy, fast and easy. Now duplicate this, and I'm going to use this, drag this up because it should be above that rectangle. I'm going to use this for the word and of course I am going to change to the font I used, which is Akira Expanded. Please do not come back and ask me which font did you use, because I've clearly mentioned and I'm talking about this, and you can also get this font inside of the Smart Designer Premium assets, right? So this is Vibe and Grinds. So quick one, create a new layer, draw an ellipse on top of the and. Now double click on the thumbnail to change the color. I'm going to use something here. Why not something here? Okay, good. This is, I'm just going to use from the orange. Click OK. This is the color code. Click OK when you're done. Now click on the mask, right click and create clipping mask. Make sure it's clipped to the and what you want to do is very simple, like we've done in previous videos. Select your brush, make sure your cap lock is turned off, and of course you want to erase the top parts to create this nice effect. And yes, we're good to go. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's move on with the rest of the design. So we're still adding information to this design, and one of the things we're going to be doing next is bringing in a different element for the rest of the information. So the first one is going to be this is a tone paper. So I'm just going to have this here, And great. Duplicate this also. But first and foremost, let me bring in the information that will be there. You can change the color of this, right? So if it's, because it's a PNG file, so you can click, use any color of your choice, but I wouldn't be using any color like this. So that's the easy way to just change the color. But I'm going to leave it in this color because I have plans for this color. So I'm going to bring in the pricing first. I'm going to dump it here. Sorry to use the word dump, but actually that's what I'm doing. So I'm just going to dump this here and adjust the frame of the torn paper. Ctrl T to adjust this and move this close to it. Okay, so Ctrl T, and I'm just going to hold down Shift while I make it fit. I don't have to go back to bring in the next one. I'm using the same thing, so I'm just going to make this bigger, hold down Shift and stretch it like this. Okay, so I'm going to bring in, I'm going to drag and drop the address this time. So I'm just going to bring this here and position this here like this. Okay. Click enter when you're done. And of course, you have the information and you have the address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going over to my Smart Designer Premium asset. You can see how this is very, very important to my designing process. Because I have backgrounds, I'm just going to go over to the orange department. You can see like most colors have their standalone folders. I'm going to drag this image inside. So I'm just dragging here. And I'm just going to drop here like this. So you can see it's extensively big. So I'm just going to reduce this. And I have something like this. And I'm just going to move this here. Move this up so it's above this. Duplicate this. And I'm just going to clip this to this, and of course this other one I'm going to make this bigger so I can clip it or stretch this instead. Hold down Shift, stretch this, and everybody goes home happy. But make sure you don't go stretching images like this. All right, so have this here and we're good to go. Right, so as it stands, we're doing great, and if you've gotten to this part, kudos to you, you're doing well. But let's make this better. We've exhausted all our elements. Thank you for coming. Let's make sure this is perfect. Now let's enhance this our subject, right? Because it's not giving me that club vibe that I want. You know, that inner club vibe when you're in a club, on that dark feeling. So the first thing we need to do is create the curves adjustments, clip it to its creative mask. And now I'm just going to leave that there. Adjustment again, go to exposure. It's clip to the same image, right? Now I'm going to start here. This is where I'm going to start my work. So I'm just going to reduce the exposure like this. Now it's giving me that dark vibe, but that's taking away the lights that I need from the image. Don't worry, we're going to bring this back. So copy my settings for this, my exact settings. So we're going to build on this. So this one in the background, I'm just going to bring down the radius so it's a little bit clearer than it is. I think somewhere around here is good. The bottom line is that the focus is on the original image, not the image at background, but there's a way the image in the background can enhance what you're seeing in front, right? So that's the reason why I don't want to entirely blur out the image. So I'm just going to reduce the radius a bit so I can see that well, right? So whilst keeping the flow of the design. So, okay, so let me go back to I'm going to increase the blur of this one. I'm going to add blur to this one of here and click OK like this. So it's not just empty like that. When you're done, you can group all of them. And of course, this is part of keeping your layers neat and clean. So you can do better than I am doing currently. Right, so I'm just going to have this. Now let's come back to the image. So now to the curves adjustment, on top of it, click on solid color. Now this is the color code that I used. You can copy. Now I'm just going to clip it to the image itself and change the blend mode to this. Click on the mask and invert this. And of course, I've done this in previous videos where I did highlighting and adding light effects, light to images and textures and all of that. So you can watch my previous videos and get an in-depth understanding of how I apply light to subjects and to images. So I'm just going to go back to exposure and I'm going to reduce the flow. I'm going to flick the mask and I'm going to turn up the volume here like this. And I'm going to make sure light gets to this part. If you make a mistake, Ctrl Z please. So you want to be precise with these things. So somewhere around here, the light hits this part. I'm going to move towards these areas too. And the hand here should get light. So light would normally hit all of these areas like this. And areas like this too, right? So if you're adding to these areas, make sure you make it small so that I can cover areas like this. You understand? And areas like this too, very important. And don't be afraid to actually zoom in to get these things done perfectly, because that's how you actually get precision and you do things well. So I'm going to reduce the size of my brush, or the flow of my brush instead, flow of my brush, to actually reduce this. I can now paint in areas that I want light to hit here, actually on the face. All of these areas here, more areas here like this than before. And the trick about this is take your time. If you feel you're doing it the wrong way, you can reduce this, and a couple of Ctrl Zs and realignments would give you the perfect lighting effect, right? Just make sure you follow my process and you watch other videos where I talk about highlights and light effects. So increasing the flow of my brush so that it gets much areas here that would receive lights. And at the end of the day, I can leave my image like this and we're good to go. But then it would not reflect that light at the background. So that's the point of all of this. So what I'm going to do is, this is the curve. So I'm just going to apply the curves. Take this down first. And this is just perfect. Take it down a bit more like this. And we have this. Can invert this, and with your brush selected, you can apply what you've just created with your brush. Make sure your foreground is set to white since you're in black mask. And of course your flow is set to 100. And I'm just going to apply this to the areas that needs to be dark. Reduce the flow so I can cover more areas like this that needs the dark. Areas like this. Areas like this, Areas like this. You can see when you bump it up, this is what you'll be creating. So you don't want too much emphasis on these areas, right? The most important thing here is control, right? Let your eyes guide you, like I've always said. So let's move over to the solid color adjustment layer and paint in some light. You can see that when I set the flow to 100, this is what it does. So that's why I like leaving my flow the way I can control it, right? So I can make my brush smaller, zoom in closer, and paint in some lights here, right? Incredible, right? Easy peasy. You thought it was hard? No, it's very simple actually if you follow my process, right? Like I said, to understand lighting, make sure you watch my previous videos where I showed examples of how to create lights on subjects. And somewhere around here is going to have that too. So you want to zoom close and draw along this parts here like this. Make sure you're not doing too much. You can see I'm just trying to be realistic with the lights. And also the front part here is going to have this. And of course, reduce the flow. So when you reduce the flow, you can paint in some lights here. Let me set to 1. Paint in some lights here. Over here. And over here also. Paint in some light here too. And like I said, when you're doing lighting and everything, you need to actually take your time so that you can create something perfect. It's not something you rush and under how many minutes you're done. So you really need to take your time when you're doing all of this, right? So you can control this with your opacity on top here. And of course, this goes a long way to enhance what you've done generally. So for the exposure, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Yes, somewhere around here is good. Make sure it's not too much before and after. You can see how this makes a whole lot of difference, right? So I can go on and on and on checking the before and after for everything, but at this point we've done a great job. So I'm going to clip this also color balance, right? So this is the entire outlook of the image. I'm going to tilt towards the yellows and the reds for midtones. Then surprisingly for the highlights, I'm going to shift towards the green, right, to give it this popped effect. Then for the shadows, of course, you know the drill. I'm going to tilt a little bit and I'm good with this. Okay. So as it stands now, this is what we have. And if you've gotten to this point, congratulations, you've done a great job. And you can do more by watching my previous videos on how I created something like this. If you've enjoyed this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. And above all, do not forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.
With over 1,000 premium fonts, over 100 high-quality PSD flyer templates, over 700 icons, over 3,000 premium stock photos, 3,000 plus high-resolution backgrounds, 1,000 plus 3D and PNG assets, editable PSD templates, and lots more. If you're a creative designer, UI, UX, or web designer, the Smart Designer's graphics assets will make your life much more easier.